It's just odd to be talking about a love story in your office because this is exactly where he proposed to me.
Hi, my name is Darius and I'm the founder and CEO of 99 Group.
Hi, I'm Roshni, the CEO and founder of The Parentinc.
And we are the Mahtani Cheungs, and this is Founders Face to Face. We met for the first time at an event hosted here, and she was one of the organizers, and she picked me to be one of the speakers, and that's how we met. Since then we've became friends first for a long time, then suddenly we started dating.
It was the night before my press conference. I was announcing a big funding round. He asked me out for dinner the night before. So we were sitting there and we were just talking, and I was grilling him about, how do I do this press conference properly, what should I announce? And then he's like, would you like a bottle of wine? And I was like, no. So we finished our dinner and then I went back to the office. Suddenly, one of my colleagues who was in the office as well, preparing for the press conference, so she came up to me and she said, hey, there's a Chinese boy downstairs waiting for you. I said, what do you mean? She's like, don't know leh, but he's holding like some flowers and he's waiting for you. And I said, okay, why don't you ask him to come up? And when he came upstairs, he was holding like these bouquet of flowers in his hands.
Oh, it's not bouquet of flowers, it's a
pot. It was a
potted plant of fake Christmas flower.
Christmas flowers, yes. And we still have the flowers at home today.
Yes.
And he said, I wanted to wish you best of luck for your press conference tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. And then I walked him downstairs and he looked at me and he said, just so you know, I like you. And I was like, oh, okay. I need some time to process this. I'll speak to you tomorrow. And so the next day he turned up for the press conference. And then I was flying off to India that night. And he chatted with me throughout the whole way. And then when I came back, he agreed that we would go out on a date. And it ended up being like a 13-hour first date. And we realized that we had a lot of chemistry and we got along really well. And we went on the second date the next day. And then he came home, he never left. 6 days later, he proposed to me. And I said yes. And that was 9 years ago. Nearly 10 years we've been together, we've hardly fought. So I would say there's just a lot of acceptance of the other person. I think when you're a founder, you learn not to sweat the small stuff. And you also learn to re-evaluate your position when you're wrong. When he says something and I disagree with it, I may disagree with him first for a few minutes and then he'll point out a few things and I do sit back and I reflect a lot on it. And if I'm in the wrong, I'm ready to accept and admit that my position was wrong and we should go with his position.
I think you give us a very unique way of approaching it, that we are first and foremost co-founders in this enterprise of marriage and parenthood. We're able to think about what does it take to be a co-founder.
For example, like how when we decided that we wanted to move to Jakarta, it happened one day when I said, Darius, I'm kind of tired of Singapore and I want to explore again. COVID's done, and I want to go after a bigger market. And he looked at me and he's like, okay, sure. Shall we move to Jakarta? And I said, yeah, makes sense. And he says, our business is thriving there. For you as well, it's your largest market. Here are some of the things that we need to do. And he immediately went into checklist mode. We need to get our kid into a school. We need to do this. And when shall we move? And I said, I'm comfortable to move whenever. And he said, okay, let's move in 2 weeks' time. So it was a very simple, did it make sense? Did it not? What were, some of the things that we would have to do and how do we get there? So most recently, we decided that we wanted to have a second baby. We went for fertility treatments. We did get pregnant and then unfortunately, we also had a miscarriage. In fact, we had flown into Tech in Asia conference and we were supposed to speak on the Indonesia panel together, but I had just had a miscarriage. I had a terrible migraine, I couldn't get out of bed. And so that's when I decided not to turn up for the panel. And he had to speak to the TIA team to be like, my wife's like she's flown in, but she's not feeling well. So, can I just do it by myself? So I think that there was a lot of protecting me and putting my interests first instead of at that point being irritated or annoyed, right? Because he's going through his own stuff as well, and he's going through his own work stuff.
Yeah, we kind of function as kind of 50% of each other. Yeah. By and large, I'd say 90% of the time we were able to support each other. There are some times where it runs to high intensity where we have to care for our own things and become isolated. So it does happen maybe 10% of the time. So that's probably the tougher periods.
I think parents are better managers and leaders. I think the interaction with a child is so pure and simple. It strips away a lot of the noise in terms of what leadership really means. Maybe kind of a bit of a self-bias since I've gone through it, but I did find that I learned as much, if not more, about leadership from parenting than I have from all my years of books and business courses and real life experience.
I think parenthood also forces you to figure out your values and what type of person do you want to be, what type of person do you want to raise. Before I was a parent, I didn't introspect as deeply about myself. So suddenly I had a mini Roshni and I had to be careful on how I behaved and how I influenced this little one, that it forced me to understand who am I, what do I stand for, and how can I be a good role model to my own child.
The best way to encourage inclusion is to realize that there are opportunities. On one hand of it, just the recognition that women are as good and often better, and just like she is better than me.
I agree.
I know you agree. Combined with that, a more important point, I think, and this is going to be slightly controversial, which is capitalism. Women and women-related opportunities are deeply underinvested.
Yeah, McKinsey had a study that 85% of healthcare and personal consumption decisions in a household was done by a woman. So go after the pink dollar. You don't have to go out there and inspire inclusion in the world. You just need to make a difference in one woman's life. One woman whose life you're going to make better by including her in things, by inviting her to be in this exclusive network that you may have formed that she doesn't have access to, by, maybe it's your niece, maybe helping her, with her scholarship application. So I think just choose one woman and say, I'm going to make a difference to her life. And if we have just everyone out there working towards improving the life of one spectacular woman in their life, I think we would have a much more equitable society. This is Founders Face to Face. We hope you enjoyed watching it and you learned something from today. Bye.